Welcome to Mixing Plants and Crafts. My name is Rachel. Today we're going to talk about plant mistakes I've made since I started this hobby. I have a long list of mistakes that I've made, but I'm only going to talk about 6. To start this off, I'm going to share a little of how my plant hobby started. In 2021, when my mother-in-law passed, we got gifts in the mail, and one of those gifts were a planter. In the planter were about 4 variety of plants. I was reluctant to have this planter because I was known to kill plants. I used to own plants 10 years prior and I killed them all. So I didn't want to deal with the planter, but because it was a gift and it was during my mother-in-law passing, I wanted to keep it. So I kept it for, I think I kept it for about 8 months. I wanted to know what the plants were, and come to find out, there was a heartleaf philodendron in there, and I fell in love with it. The planter had more than one plant. There was a peace lily, a Dieffenbachia, and a sable palm, I think, in there. Maybe another plant, but I can't think of what that was. The only plant I still have left is the peace lily and the heartleaf philodendron. The other plants I've already given away to other people. So I fell in love with the heartleaf philodendron, and that caused me to basically look into buying more plants. That brings me to mistake number 1, which was treating my plants like flowers. Let me tell you what I mean by that. When I get flowers, I would have them in a vase in water. Now, they would be in a room, and if I go to another room, I would bring the flowers with me. Yes, I did that. I actually seen a movie a while ago, You've Got Mail, Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks in that movie. Tom Hanks gave Meg Ryan some daisies, and I watched her as she took the flower from room to room. I do that. This happened when I first started my journey. I was doing that with my houseplants. So 2 plants in particular I did that with was a uh, prayer plant and a rattlesnake calathea. Yeah, every room I'm in, I would bring them with me. Kitchen, living room, office. I learned my lesson quickly when the prayer plant started not liking it too much. And after I did some research into it, I stopped moving plants. However, there are prayer plants back here and a begonia. This is a north window, so the 2 prayer plants that I have here usually go to the east window in the morning for a few hours. Hi, girl. They usually go to the east window in the morning for a few hours when the morning sun comes out, and then I bring them back in here. So I do still move my plants, but for different reasons now. Just those 2 plants um, during the spring and summer months. The next mistake is overwatering. When I first started, I did overwater my plants. I would basically, so mistake number 2 is overwater. No, no, go lay down. Mistake number 2 is overwatering. In the beginning, I overwatered my plants because I was what you call a helicopter plant parent. I would hover over my plants, checking on them every day, making sure they're okay, and then I would top them off with water because I thought it was sweet if they would stay moist at all times. No. So now I know plants need to dry out between waterings. I learned this, I think, my first year. I killed a bunch of plants during my first year of owning them, and overwatering was one of the root cause of that. Now I underwater my plants, and it's probably because I have a little bit more plants in my collection and watering takes a little bit longer. So I'm trying to find a balance between overwatering and underwatering, getting them the water they need at the right time. Especially now that spring is here, they need a little bit more than what they did in winter. The next mistake I've made with plants is when I bring a plant home, I have a rule of quarantining the plants, but the one thing where I fail at is I don't overlook the plant during that quarantine stage as well as I should. I don't give it an overlook after the quarantine time as well as I should. I feel I need to do a better job at that because last year I brought and I thought I was doing really well with that quarantine and overlooking the plants and keeping their leaves clean. But this winter, I brought two plants home from, I think spider mice hang out at those big box stores. So I brought spider mice home from Lowe's one day last year, and since I brought those two plants, I have had to deal with spider mites. And I feel if I had given the plant a good look over at the store, I would have probably known not to bring the plant home. And even when I brought it home, I could have just done a better job at that. Since then, I have done a better job of overlooking my plants, a more thorough check. But let me tell you, you can overlook your plants, quarantine your plants, do all you can, and still have a pest infestation. Mistake number 4 is trying to do all the plant things, buying all the plant products, amendments, and listening to a lot of plant YouTubers and seeing what they're doing, and then kind of I want to do it too. I have a lot of soil amendments in my plant supply, and I don't need any more now. I feel when I first started, I wanted to try everything and I wanted to get this because somebody was doing it. I don't do that anymore. I have a new rule of when I'll get something when it's finished. And when it comes down to buying plant products, do we really need that plant product? Do we really need it? I don't need it. I've gotten in the habit of trying to DIY it, and then if I can't DIY it, I still ask myself, do I really need it? You hear some advice from other plant people where they tell you they're doing something that works and then you try it and it completely fails. Devastation. There's a plant story behind this. I have this Monstera deliciosa that I started from a little baby, and then it's growing up. I heard that if you were to cut off the baby leaves from your plant would give a new growth from a monstera. Well, that's not true. I cut the baby leaves off my plants, and yeah, before I cut the leaves off my plants, the plant had given me 5 new leaves. And after I cut the baby leaves off my plants, 8 months, absolutely no growth. And then when new growth came, it was smaller with no fenestrations. So that was a fail. I do know that plant leaves is one of the main organ responsible for turning sunlight into food for that plant. Now, why would I cut off those baby leaves? Why? I have kind of learned from that, but I'm sure I'm going to continue making mistakes in that area because I love to experiment. Not acclimating my plant to the outside sun in summer. So that is something I learned from my ficus that I did last year. Yeah, I just put it outside during, I think it was probably late spring that I did it. I put the plant outside and I literally was making sure it got enough sun because I wanted it to start thriving and growing. Yeah, like 2 days later, the plant leaves burn. Now I'm a little bit more proactive about acclimating my plant before putting it outside. Uh, Definitely, I'll be doing that this year and not burning any leaves. Next mistake I have learned is not to buy a plant just to buy a plant, and not to buy an extra plant to avoid shipping. I don't like paying shipping costs for anything, so I would buy an extra item just to avoid shipping. I do that with kitchen orders, my clothes. I do that with plants as well. And yeah, I have definitely I think I'm still growing in that area. It's not fully sunken in yet. But to buy a plant just to buy a plant, I am on a plant ban and I am not purchasing any more plants for a while. I want to say 30 days, but I kind of want it to go a little longer. Be a little bit more intentional about the plants I bring into my house because at this moment in my life and my plant journey, I think I have enough. Do I need more? I want that, but do I really need it? I'm learning in this area with this plant band. So I will say a few weeks before my plant band, I bought a plant. I am trying to get better about what plants I bring into the house and what plants I really do want. But the other one is buying another plant to avoid shipping. I don't need another plant, and if I need to bring, if I really want a plant, I would pay the shipping cost because that is the plant I want. I don't want an extra plant. So I feel I really need to make some changes in this area still, and I'm learning with my plant band. I'm on a mission this year to be a little bit better about my spendings and just some things that's going on in my life, my health. I have other priorities than just plants. With all that said, we can still use mistakes and failure to grow ourselves and to help other people. I would love to hear some of your planting mistakes that you've made if you care to share in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video and did have some takeaways from it. I'm so thankful for you guys, and I will see you next week.